the Libre train. And we're live. Everybody, welcome. This is our inaugural first ever Libre live. So those of you who are our beloved fans, you know that we do this thing in private, and we go ahead and edit it, and then we put stuff up on our SoundCloud. But right now we're going to try this YouTube, and my cat's back there. Don't mind it. My name is Andy Gonzalez. We have Alex Eaton as well, and our very special guest, David Hoverman. He is the co-founder of SynQ, and I put a little bit of information about them here on the video description. We'll talk, obviously, more about that. David, thank you so much for joining. Alex, as always, thank you for being here with us.
Oh, I'm so excited to actually be able to see everybody's face while we do this. And the live component of it means that we do have to drop the sheer amount of F-bombs a little bit less. So this will be fun. No, the standards, standards.
I'm just glad to be here. It's like we're breaking out into I get to be a part of the breakout into the live scene. So
that's awesome, David.
I appreciate you guys having me.
Yeah, thanks for being here. And I mean, it must be nice to be out and about. Being in a podcast is just like being outside for us devs and people in the crypto space, right?
I am so pale because I don't get away from my desk. I mean, for either you're a dev and you're coding at all hours of the night or day, or you're trading, or you're building, whatever it may be. It's people in crypto do not see the sunlight very often.
We don't even have windows. Yeah, I mean, I have windows, but the blinds are closed, so I don't know what good that does me. But
blackout blinds.
Yeah,
it's a pretty dreary day out here in the Midwest. I mean, it's raining, and it was like I think maybe 60 degrees. Yesterday it was like sunny and 80. It was gorgeous.
That's awesome. Well, we'll try to bring that back tomorrow. We'll see about that.
I appreciate that.
So let's we don't want to take too much of your time, David, as you've told us you're building. So why don't we talk a little bit about that? But right before we get into SynQ itself, let's get into a little bit of your background, your crypto genesis story. This is a crypto-centric podcast. So everyone we talk to, we always want to get their genesis story. No one's is the same, and sure. I'm expecting yours won't be either.
Mine's pretty unique, I guess. Like I think it was April of 2011. We called it the Black Friday of online poker. Basically, I played cards online. I sports bet online, allegedly, and it was the DOJ came out and completely started locking these sites out, where my funds were stuck and everything, and so. I had obviously been in tech since a wee little lad, and followed tech blogs and everything, and knew people in the space. And a friend of mine who played poker also, he said, "Hey, you can use this Bitcoin thing to get around circumvent regulation." So, I guess my genesis story is thinking Bitcoin was a way to circumvent regulations by this token, if you will, that was used for currency, and you just used Bitcoin to buy your chips or your to make your bets rather than using cash.
And you just took it on at face value, and you didn't even question it, like saying maybe like, oh well, does it even work? I mean, how was that? How was trying to get on board with Bitcoin and using it?
So at that point in time, there wasn't very much information out. I mean, we're talking sub $100. I mean, we're talking sub $10.
Yeah.
Here's a hindsight is always 2020. My first tournament I cashed out. I was paid over 6,000 Bitcoin. And
nice.
And of course I cashed out.
Yeah.
And
why not?
Yeah, why not? But no, so at the time it was very hard to really find out a lot of information because it was still sparse. And, I knew who the cypherpunks were, and I read up this. I didn't dig deep enough to go to the white paper by any means. Unfortunately, if I did, I would have been in a different position now. But
Sure.
Again, I didn't understand the technology because I really didn't look, and it really wasn't as available as it is today, even though I think we all can agree there's a lot of misinformation out there today.
Yeah.
Not yesterday, but 7 years ago, there was nothing.
Sure. And now something I have to ask, and I don't know that I've asked it enough. Your mindset when you first heard about Bitcoin, or right before you did, and you were doing this poker thing, you were online. What was your mindset as far as like economics and all that stuff? Because once you get into Bitcoin, you really are forced into understanding economics and game theory and all that fun stuff. So what was your
Absolutely.
mindset before that? If
So
you could put that into words.
I was like very high on utilizing game theory for playing cards, for making sports bets and everything like that. So the game theory concept was already really deeply rooted.
Oh, good.
From an economic perspective, I always followed economies and just money, numbers. I'm a nerd, you know, so things like that just really perked my interest. You know, it really wasn't until probably 3 years later, I was doing a real estate transaction with a friend of mine, and he was telling me about looking into this Bitcoin at the time and really trying to understand more of what it was and the technology behind it, rather than a token to circumvent, you know, certain regulations, or just an easier way to transfer money.
Sure. So that
It
was a time that it clicked in a sense, because the way I understand it, people have many clicks where many things click in different orders throughout their crypto career.
Yeah, that's when it really clicked for me, like truly comprehending what blockchain technology was and what Bitcoin was trying to do. And it, for me, I was scared because I thought, okay, at a large scale, what you're trying to do is create a currency that can't be manipulated, in the sense of created more, created less, or whatnot. And it's easier to transmit. You're cutting out so many different federal agencies globally, not just, you know, within the US, but we're talking the EU, Russia, China, you know, across the world. I thought there was no way it was going to happen. There was no way it would get adopted at scale, because so many regulations and so many governments would have to allow it, I guess.
Sure. Yeah, and I mean, we don't have to get too into that, but to me, it's just been so interesting that it hasn't been banned as much as I thought it would be. And it could be because it's so early in the game still. I mean, here we are, like all the tools are very finicky, and the UI is not, I don't want to say atrocious, but you know, it could use some work. It could use some work. We'll try to be helpful and what's the word? Constructively criticizing these guys. But it could use some work. So is it just that we're still too early, you think? And that's why regulators maybe across the board have just been kind of like, we'll see what happens.
You know, I mean, the people that are, or the one governing body, if you will, it's making the biggest stink about it was China. I mean, for the past couple of years, and now India is kind of starting to really possibly push some negative regulation towards cryptocurrencies. But overall, I mean, Central Europe, or Europe in general, is pretty open. Japan, Canada, from a global adoption rate, Japan and Canada are leading the way. And
Australia,
they're opening.
They've been honing in on it since like 2014. I remember going to a conference in Miami, and they actually had one of their senators there, you know, saying, "Hey, we see this and we understand how important this is," and that was years ago.
That's awesome. It's one thing, I guess Australia really doesn't hit the news all that much. I don't know. I should start digging into that a little bit more. But I mean, even in Ohio, you can pay your taxes in crypto now, and they're not the first state to do that. So wow. I think it's just, you know, kind of like sideline stuff where governments don't know what to do, if they want to stop it or if they want to allow it at scale. I think they're just kind of sitting back, at least here in the US, and going state by state level. Almost like, you know, some of the other regulations that are going around the states, you know, medicinal marijuana or whatnot, you know, going forward. So it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting.
I mean, they didn't know. I mean, there's so many things that already need to be fixed, and here we introduce this new thing that they know nothing about. And of course, they're gonna have to sit and wait. It's not even a choice because they just don't really know how to interact or deal with it. And then we look at how they tax it, and we have a lot of people that are huge proponents for not taxing it as a capital gains tax because it's not that definition of an asset. So it's really interesting to see how it keeps evolving. Every 2 years, you can kind of see that it's not necessarily a growth, but it is a change as far as like how different systems and Federal Reserve, all these things look at it differently, and people constantly go to lobby for it. And it's just really interesting. We don't know what next year will bring, but it'll definitely be looked at different than it is today. And the year after, it's always changing.
It's very true.
Very true. For those of you who know me, I'm usually the optimist. And I think what's really interesting to this day is that I think the three of us are acknowledging that governments haven't really had too much of a part to play yet. Maybe in the federal level, in some ways, they've cracked down on certain individuals. But for the majority, the crypto space has just been blossoming on its own. And of course, there are people that use it for nefarious purposes and maybe perpetrate some ransomware and fun stuff like that. But for the most part, with crypto, we've been building things that have been positively affecting the market. So people have been gaining as opposed to losing. I think net good, the scale is definitely weighing on the net good side as opposed to the net negatives here. That's how I feel. Absolutely.
And I mean, you can say the same thing about any fiat currency in the world. It's used for nefarious things. I mean, isn't that true?
Yeah, there's the residue of certain, illicit substances all over your dollars. Usually the lower denominations usually. Anyway, let's now get into SynQ. I really want to sink my teeth into this because to me it's curious that just algorithms and predictive technology in general to me is amazing. Like we see it now, like for face technology, for sound technology, for all this stuff, but the future and numbers and outcomes, that stuff is crazy to me. And I know that's the biggest part of SynQ, and I also know that there are certain other services that you guys are offering through SynQ. But I guess let's start with the genesis story of now SynQ. So I know that you're a co-founder. How did that start, and who else is involved in this?
So the founder, if you will, is Enrique Gutierrez, and he was somebody I met randomly in a Slack group. And cool. He was making these, utilizing data in a different way and making these projections, if you will. And it was so complex and so over my head on a very technical level, but I grasped the overall concept. And I said, hey, man, I don't know what you're doing. I can't comprehend it, but I want to know more. I get that you're doing something unique and different. And that turned into, just talking back and forth. I had been in the space for a while at this point, and we're talking, 2016, 2017. So I'd been in the space for a little bit, and kind of as a lurker, I started making a name for myself, helping out with different projects, just creating a bunch of fundamental reports and just publishing them for free. And finally, he reached out to me after some time and was like, listen, this is what we're going to do. I'm going to take all these methods, all these ideas that I'm doing manually right now, and I'm going to turn it into software and then apply it to all cryptocurrency assets in ways that nobody understands. And essentially, we're going to create a digital software, if you will, crystal ball for the world's most volatile financial market.
Yeah. And I was very ambitious. Yeah.
Oh yeah. And I was dumb enough to say all in, I'm in 100%. I get it. I'm in.
That's awesome. Trailblazers. Good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, idiots. They're absolute idiots.
Until you're proven right, that's the way this thing goes. I think if no one's willing to go out into the abyss, I mean, we never know where we could get.
Absolutely,
you have to tread. You have to tread there. Tread lightly.
Yeah,
for sure. But definitely get in there.
And the other co-founder, Nick Mancini, I mean, he's former Wall Street guy. He was with a very well-known bank, and he was he led a team of 30 to teach higher ups about Hyperledger
Sure.
basically blockchain technology utilized in the traditional finance realm. So the team is really like kind of diverse. All of us have separate things that we're good at and that we've excelled at. But Nick, he left a full-time job making great money. He was, on the fast track to be one of those, big guys in suits. Enrique's a software engineer, former, might have worked within the military or governments, and has worked with some of the big investment firms and automation and everything, and consumer modeling. And, I'm just a nerd who understands business as an entrepreneur myself, started and sold quite a few companies.
Nice.
And we all just kind of merged here, and with kind of Enrique at the helm of showing us over time and time and time again that I can do this manually. We just need to take time to create the software. It was like, well, there's very few long shots I'll take, but this is one I'll hang my hat on, because if it works, we've done something nobody else can do.
Now tell us what SynQ is trying to do, or what it is already doing.
Well, what SynQ is doing, and that I can say that now because it's an MVP, it's live, it's working. We have completely rethought of how to look at people in crypto traders, the assets themselves, from a new perspective that has not been done. And it's all proprietary. We've taken the business intelligence, and then the data analytics based in business intelligence, and created a whole new consumer set, consumer modeling. And what we've done then is taken all of that data, put it into a very, how do I put this? How does Enrique put it? A very beautiful, beautiful piece of software that can accurately predict the future of cryptocurrency prices. Currently, we are tracking the top 100 assets on CoinMarketCap, and against the USDT trading pair on Binance, we have over 85% accuracy with 0.00% deviation, meaning we're going to give you a projection and a time frame anywhere from 10 minutes to 36 hours. And if that projection does not hit to the 100th of a penny within that time frame, we call it void. We say it's a failed projection. Whether it hits 2 hours after, even 5 minutes after, we'll call it a failed projection. But over 50,000 projections have been made, and 85%, actually it's over 85% accuracy.
Nice.
And with the top 100 assets. So from a technical perspective, we can accurately predict the future at over 85% accuracies.
That's amazing. And this talks to the predictive markets, or the predictive technology that I know very little about. So, how long has that technology actually been in play? Because if people were to hear you, they'd say, well, having a crystal ball is impossible. But
Sure.
I did a little bit of research myself, but maybe I'm sure you've done much more than I have. Could you give us a little bit of a quick history, maybe, of predictive technology? Because I know people in Wall Street, they all have their own algorithms, and they all have their own
Sure.
secret sauce, right?
Sure. So most of the algorithms that you see in like Wall Street or institutional side, and even a lot of the ones that we see in cryptocurrency, they are reactionary scripts or reactionary bots, reactionary algorithms, meaning all this has to happen, and then we'll say, okay, it's a buy, but they won't tell you when to sell. They don't know where the top is going to be, nor do they really know where the bottom's going to be. They just see a certain amount of indicators line up and say, okay, our script says now's a good time to buy, which is cool, but that's not really predictive, because you're unable to say where your target is, or even on the high side or the low side. With SynQ, what we've been able to do is remodel the consumer and remodel the users in crypto, and we model them as consumers rather than as traders, or as rather than a financial background individual. So it's really a lot of trend analysis, consumer modeling, and understanding who the consumer is, what the asset is, and then a whole bunch of fun stuff in between that your viewers would be asleep by the time I actually finished it. And
that's what matters.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's the stuff that matters. So speaking of consumers, who is the target consumer for SynQ? So what people would be best served and suited by your technology?
So we have between Nick and Enrique and myself, we are of the mindset and of the ethos of we are the people of the people, meaning we've all been in these communities. I'm in communities daily, just talking with people in crypto because we've been here for a while. It's not I'm here for Moon Lambo sauce and then I'm out. It's like I'm here because the technology matters. And the people matter because the people are changing the way we are doing business globally, transacting money globally, creating things, tracking things. I mean, it's much bigger than just, buying and selling crypto. So
sure,
what we have is a model for the retail users, meaning, if just a guy wants to trade $1,000 or $500, all the way up to the institutional level. And I can't say who yet, but we just signed our first hedge fund who is using our software to trade with real money. We actually just got that signed yesterday. I was really hoping to be done so I can say it finally live. But yeah, so
awesome, fantastic.
So we have institutional side all the way down to the retail side, and if everybody and anybody is going to be able to use this. So, awesome. and they'll have access. Though limited, they will have access.
Excellent. So the mutual firm, does it surprise you? Do you think that there's plenty of mutual firms that are now getting into crypto, or do you think the guys you contract or you're contracting with are just a minority, or is there kind of undercurrents of talk that everyone's already like paying attention?
I mean, from a Wall Street perspective, there's a lot of hedge funds that are in crypto. I mean, there are crypto hedge funds that are actively managing, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. So for even just as from the institutional side, as a trade strategy, Bitcoin's still labeled as high risk investment. Okay. However, most funds are telling their customers, you should have a little bit in this asset because the high side potential, definitely outweighs the low side potential.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean, that's what we tend to tell people is even if you put just 5% of your net worth, and obviously this is not investment advice, but the idea is when the fundamentals of Bitcoin are as strong as they are, you can throw a little bit, and for the little bit of risk that you're taking, like you said, the upside is way higher than what little bit of risk you're even dealing with here.
Absolutely. I mean, if you were to throw in $100 and just walk away and come back later and see what happens, I actually have a friend of mine who, now don't get me wrong, she was very well to do beforehand and knew about Bitcoin very early. And she ended up throwing $10,000 into it.
Nice.
Mind you, this is like 2015, 2016.
Oh man.
Oh no, that's great.
And she didn't come back till mid 2017. And was pleasantly surprised.
Excellent.
$100 to probably $6,000. That's huge.
Yeah, it was pretty insane. So, but yeah, I mean, it's from a risk strategy, and again, as you said, this is not financial advice, but I would say anybody who's investing would have a very conservative aspect of their portfolio and a high risk perspective or aspect of their portfolio. It makes sense that the traditional finance realm is dabbling in cryptocurrencies as they are right now.
Sure. And if I mean, it's always fun talking this stuff, but the fact that the liquidity is still so small in Bitcoin and crypto in general compared to these legacy markets that have been here for decades and decades, they had time to develop, their what's the best way to put it? Their legitimateness. They're legitimate, so all the money is in there. But I think crypto is quickly going to get its own notoriety and quickly earning the legitimacy that At least Bitcoin. Let's just start with Bitcoin. Where Bitcoin is concerned, where it's well deserved, I think the nature of like the amount of money that's going to move into it's going to be monumental. So that's what's exciting.
When you actually have ETFs or futures contracts that are really settled rather than just paper trading, like you will hold this amount of actual Bitcoin. That'll open up some liquidity and also take away some liquidity. However, I mean, it wasn't too long ago where our market cap was 800 million, and it's the next run. I have a feeling, it's a cycle. It goes up, comes back down, goes back up, comes back down. So I think liquidity is going to be an issue for a while, but there are, I think it will continue to get better as time progresses, and especially as regulations open up and more of the traditional side put some money into it as well.
Sure. And Alex, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was going to say Andy is always optimistic, and cryptocurrency makes me optimistic for my pessimistic attitude most of the time. But no, like, kind of going off of that, what I envision, what I'd really like to see is my mom always told me a story how when she was our age, give or take, because we're all different in a little bit, the average bank account would earn you 8% interest. And, she's like, and that's just not fair for your generation and the generation after you. So she actually started to trust in Bitcoin because she saw it as something that banks could eventually make money for their users and maybe bring that, that what is it now? I see it all the time, like 18 months for like a 1.75% return from a bank. So that's just sad. And I would love to see banks actually, hedge funds, all these things merging together to bring a fair amount of interest back to the average bank account. I think that would benefit everybody. So that's why my mom got into it. She looks like really far ahead, even though she doesn't understand the technology at all. She's like, how can it benefit in the long run? So that's the kind of stuff that I think about when we talk about what is a risky investment. I'm like, risky investment is making 1.7% in 18 months. That's worthless to everyone, basically.
I don't even think it's beating inflation. I don't even think it's beating.
No, it's not.
No,
it's not.
No way.
Almost any point in time, except for basically 2018, when you could have got into crypto and made money. Doesn't matter if it was double or X 1,000. This has been, to me, one of the least risky investments ever. It's constantly bearing fruit in so many different ways, and not just because of the price, but all the other ways that crypto works. The
relationships, like the communities. To do a cute little segue here, SynQ does have multiple offerings here. So why don't you tell us a little bit about these other offerings that SynQ is not just the predictive algorithm, but it does other things as well, or you guys are moving into?
Yeah, so I mean, SynQ is actually a suite of applications that are built for crypto enthusiasts and traders and communities and programmers and companies. It's a chat platform that also has a team function, which is a Kanban style type board of project management tool, if you will. That's called SynQ Team. SynQ Up is our communication platform. It's like we took the best of Slack and Discord and Facebook and Telegram and really built a set of applications tailored for cryptocurrency and blockchain enthusiasts. And we also have an education platform that's coming out here a little bit later this year. The wireframe is done, and right now we're just really focusing on our predictive analytics modeling. But the chat application is free. I mean, the San Antonio Crypto Network has a community on there, and we love seeing that. We haven't done any marketing yet because we've been self-funded. I think that should be noted. We didn't have an ICO or anything like that.
Commendable. Definitely commendable.
I'm poor. I'll put it that way. We put all of us. I mean, we've self-funded this, for almost 2 years now, and it's been a ride. But we wanted to build something for the crypto communities because nothing was there for us. You had censorship. I mean, how many people on Twitter have 2 different or 3 different accounts? Because when one gets banned or put on 30-day jail, they'll hop on the other account and use that until that gets banned or put in jail, and then they'll hop on the other one. The same thing with Facebook. Not to mention they all sell your data.
You can have 30 Facebook accounts legally at one time. I know that because there's a creeper that like dings all the models and like attacks them. And so literally, I look up his name and he's got 30 different accounts.
Wow.
Constantly,
very dedicated creeper.
But that's insane. I mean, it's, and all your personal information that's on there. You have to have your phone number. It's just, there's so much there, and quite frankly, you don't need that. Now, if we were making billions of dollars like Zuck, it'd be a whole different story. But it's kind of not what we're about. So we don't even take your personal information. Whatever information you want to be on there, you can put on there. You just need to sign up with an email address, or create your own username and password, if you will. Sign up with LinkedIn, or you can sign up with Facebook. But on the back end, there's just a OAuth token that just shakes hands and says, okay, you're you. That's this token goes to this account, and that's it. We don't know anything else. On the back end, you look like a alphanumeric text ID hash. It doesn't matter.
Like that.
It really doesn't matter to us.
Neat. So tell me, so this track, there's this application. Sorry, I cut you off.
No, you're good.
There's the track. I heard about, or I read something about the track app. And is this something that integrates with the suite of the communication suite that SynQ offers, that marries them together?
Everything is one. One is everything. So if you log into the SynQ Up, the chat application, and you're following, and you're on track, which is a little, sidebar of alerts and charts and everything that's fed through live, that you can share it and post it to your community. You can send it in messages to other people. But if you also have a subscription to SynQ, the predictive analytics modeling, that aspect of it, the coins that you follow there will also show up in track. So you can see, hey, I've been tracking ADA or Cardano or Raven or whatnot, and hey, this alert just hit, or this projection just happened. You can pull up the chart automatically, post it out, look at it. It's all integrated. And that was the one thing that Enrique was really, really looking for, as that just very integrated aspect, where this is one set of, or one dedicated piece of software for everybody in the market, and it hits every single market. You want to build a company, you want to build a community, you want to watch your task management and your project management from beginning to end. Do you want to help educate people? Do you want to trade? I mean, we finally got tired of it. We're on Slack, and our community,
the troll box on the trading platform, all the troll boxes.
Love that though.
Some of the troll boxes were fun, but there was, a troll box was specifically a troll box for trolling,
Yep.
But when you want to have a community and you want to be able to organize it and manage it well, you're going to need all the added functionalities of muting people, banning people, giving them admin and mod privileges and private channels and public channels. All that is integrated in there. It's literally everything you wanted from a chat application, with safety, with security, that isn't around anywhere else. I mean, as I was saying earlier, we had over 2,200 people in our Slack channel, and they kept deleting our data. And that's one thing we won't do. SynQ won't delete your data. So if you post something today, come back in 5 years, and it'll still be there. But our community was so active, they kept deleting our data within like 24 hours. So we called them and was like, okay, what can we do? How do we make this not happen?
Pay them more.
Well, yeah, we weren't paying. It was a free model, so I get that. And it ended up being like, it was going to be over $100,000 just to have our community.
Oh my god!
A year.
How many terabyte or how many gigs, or what was the deal? Like, how much info was there?
I have no clue. I was pissed, because what do you do? I'm sorry, we're a free community that's just chatting, and you're already selling our data and making money off of us. So you want another $100,000? Okay, cool.
It's tough. I mean, I don't want to say the word extortion, but I said it. It's really tough, because you've been on there and all your data is there. So like, what option do you have but pay it? It's kind of a ransomware.
I mean, from the consumer perspective, or from the, I guess you'd say, from the business side of things, I get it. You sign up for it. It is what it is. That's still a tough pill to swallow.
No, it is tough. And so it's really interesting that people hear about crypto, I guess, enthusiasts, and they think, oh well, they're all anarchists and they want the world to burn. But even we like a little bit of order and parameters to our lives. And it's funny that even within a community technology like this, like we still want parameters, we still want order. And I think that's a common misconception about us crypto people, is that we're not necessarily for taking down any entities, but we're of bringing more. It's more of a ground up approach to organization and governance.
Synergy.
So synergy.
Well, synergy, transparency. I mean, the whole point of a blockchain is it's out there in public. It's on the blockchain. You can go, and if you can read that type of digital footprint, you can see what it is. So that's one thing we do lack in many aspects of life is real transparency.
Right, because order and parameters is we all need that. But it is really tough to ensure transparency just because of the nature of human beings, and it's sometimes something might not be to your benefit. So sometimes it's just best to not keep it transparent. But I think governance in general, we all benefit from transparency. So let's see. Let's on that note,
really quick, I actually want to ask you guys a question, and it's been burning in my head for years and years and years. It has to do with applications on phones. Have you ever noticed back like in 2008, 9, 10, Apple, basically anything you did, you had to click that I acknowledge, and you never read the small print, but you had to do it all the time. And then all of a sudden, sometime or another, that just stopped. And I have not clicked I agree to these small print things in feels like years for Apple or Samsung or otherwise. And what worries me about that the most, and it's kind of an open-ended question. If you know the answer, great. If you don't, that's okay. I don't either. But have you ever downloaded any app on your phone, for instance, something that has nothing to do with your files, something that has nothing to do with your camera or your SD card? And it's it's a stupid little tap game. Your kid comes up and goes, "Alex, can I download this?" And you're like, "Sure." And then it's like, "I want to." Do you give it access to your photos? No. And then it just clicks out and says, "Well, you can't play this game." And it's like, why do you need access to my photos for me to play this game? Or why do you need access to my camera when you don't utilize a camera in the game? And I've Googled it for years, and I've never really found like a true good answer that makes sense for that. Any idea? It all comes down to security, and that's why I asked.
Oh, it's data mining. I mean, let's be honest. I've consumed, and we've been tracking through like Reddit and Twitter and Facebook and Telegram, all those places. The most valuable asset, I think, in today's world is data. That's how Facebook makes its money. That's how a lot of these companies make their money. Google, they get your data and then they sell it, and it's really expensive.
It's genius though, because they don't just take it; you willingly give it to them because of the service. Because of the service they provide, you are so eager to give it because of the benefits you reap from their platform. So it's really interesting how they tied that neatly together.
I've always been there's in a place just to upload my own data and be like, look, I'm cool to sell it to you. Just let me sell it. Stop taking it. Like I want it, and then you can have it. Give me $5. I'll give you all my naked photos. Whatever you guys were really looking for, I don't know.
And it's, I mean, if I could help you see something there, it's so insidious, Alex, because if you individually try to put information on any platform, it's worthless unless it's tied to other aspects of your life, and unless other people's information are also there in aggregate. So the way that what makes it the most valuable, like David was saying, is when it's all in a huge marketplace where everything is all aggregated under one platform. That's what makes it the most valuable. It's Metcalfe's law, basically.
Yep.
It's the concept of networks. So, but Alex, the more people say yes to those clicky games, the more valuable each data point is worth, the way I understand it.
Yeah, that was a rough day in my life when I realized I can't play phone games anymore. Because I can't say yes to that. Who does in their right mind? Well, everybody does, but I can't do it.
Well, your kiddos will do that for you. Don't worry.
Yeah,
they already.
All right, so we only have 20 more minutes, David.
What?
What happened?
Well, hey, should this be a good time to actually? We should have done it way at the beginning. But if you look at to the right on this YouTube channel, you'll see 3 links. And if you click on those, that is a live currency or sync stream. Would you like to talk about that for a second?
Oh,
Yeah, let's do that.
I can even
do that. I can share. Yeah, I can share here.
Good.
1 second.
So we just because right now we are going to a raise. We're going to have equity for sale, and we are looking for investors. We kept telling people our accuracy numbers and everything, and what happened was we got a lot of people laughing at us because nobody believed it. Everybody said, well, there's no way you can be that accurate. There's no way you can accurately predict the future at this level, at this accuracy, at this frequency. And we tried to, do a couple different things. People would want back tested data, but honestly, if as smart as some people are, you can fake it. No one's going to believe it, even if you show them back tested data. So we said, okay, well, it works. So why don't we just make projections live on a certain little small subset of assets that everybody knows are well-known ones. I mean, we have Litecoin, Ethereum, EOS, BNB, and Cardano. So we are going to be streaming daily on our Facebook page and on our YouTube page our projections. It's live, updated, time-stamped. If you want to believe us, or if you're just curious, check it out. You don't have to believe us, but here's some information that you can corroborate with that will be time-stamped and done live, and we're just letting it run. To kind of prove a point and to, let people know this is real, this is serious. And when we open up to the public, there's only a limited amount of spots that we're going to have, just because of we can't give everybody this information because it'll completely mess with the markets.
I was going to ask you that.
Yeah.
Because it's like, TA, so technical analysis, the way I understand it, I think it partially works, or part of it works because if the majority of traders are working under the same assumptions, there's almost this unique effect where everyone kind of pushes the market in certain. If everyone's playing the same game, everyone's playing the same rules, everyone's going to kind of expect the market to do certain things, and it's almost it's like that self-fulfilling prophecy thing.
Exactly what it is.
How do you avoid?
We're keenly aware of it.
Yeah.
Keenly aware of it. I mean, so how it's going to work is, so when you get a subscription, you're going to be able to follow 9 different assets. And of those 9 assets, you will be, given a certain amount of projections that are coming out from Net. Now, we are limiting the amount of people that are able to sign up because we are afraid of that self-fulfilling prophecy, disturbing markets, and so forth. So we want to basically tranche out our subscription base. And at first, we're starting with 500 people. And that's the first tranche. And we're going to just stop and, okay, software is working, cool. It's what's going on in the market. Is this information moving things? Because we don't want to be a self-fulfilling prophecy. In essence, that would really mess with our software. And we don't.
It's almost a paradox to me.
Exactly. Like it'd be great, but it wouldn't be great. Honestly, it wouldn't be great because that would just defeat the purpose.
Right.
But so yeah, we are keenly aware of it at scale, and that's why we are taking it very slow. I mean, we're only going to have like 2 or 3 hedge funds in our first year utilizing this at most. And again, we're going to take our first 500 subscribers that sign up and want to be a part of this. And it's a monthly subscription. So if you like it 1 month, cool. If you don't like it, you don't have to subscribe. The next month, and the next person in line will take its place until we open up another tranche of users and so forth.
Awesome.
And so the beta opens or public launch in 93 days, 11 hours, 15 seconds, or 15 minutes.
Yeah. However, there is a there's a private beta if you're interested, or a early launch that if you're interested, we are screening some people as you could say beta testers, to let them early, give them a little bit earlier access to help us with, working the bugs out, working the kinks out and stuff like that, just from a UI UX perspective, as well as just, maybe some routing errors, because this software is very intricate. It is a thing of beauty, but it is very intricate. So
Nice. Yeah, that's what it sounds like. I mean, all of these, always the predictive analytics. I can only assume it's something and I'm assuming there's going to be updates, right? I mean, over time you would have to update certain, I guess, the way certain variables interact. Or am I wrong about that? Or does that make it less?
No, you're absolutely correct. No, it's it's always learning. And yeah, we will have to fiddle with it a little here, a little there, but the goal is to inevitably have it at a point where it is what it is. It learns, it understands, and it just keeps on keeping on.
Something that was interesting was this whole marketing concept that you guys are doing with the live Facebook and YouTube feed. Whose idea was that?
I guess it really came down to Enrique with this specific idea. We wanted to do something where we can show people and prove what we had. However, from a security standpoint, we didn't want our software to be, compromised. We didn't want to be hacked or anything like that. So what was the safest way to do this at scale, and allow people to see it? And we can't fake this. It's streaming live. It's on YouTube. It's on Facebook. Everything's timestamped. So, at some point, if you don't want to believe it, don't. That's cool. I get it. Perfect. If you're curious, though, and you start looking and you start seeing and you start checking, you come to understand, well, maybe these guys aren't as full of shit as they think they are,
and what matters is the output, David. So I thought that was really neat. So I think that was the elegant solution was, well, obviously we can't show them what goes in, but what comes out and what's actually of value to them is what we can show. And the reason I think it's a genius marketing ploy is because they can't take what it spits out today and use that tomorrow. Like they would have to be continuously checking up on it to get what's coming up next. So seeing that it works today is a great way to show its value, but you're not giving away the entire horse, so to speak. You're letting them ride it and give it a test run, but there's no way they can take it home unless they jump on the subscription, because whatever you took from it today doesn't help you a week from now. So I think that's quite spot on.
Exactly. I mean, our projections are anywhere from 10 minutes to 36 hours, 38 hours. We have one projection actually right now for Ethereum that's it's 44 hours out. So yeah, I mean, and the really interesting thing, and we were doing the math, which is, we do that a lot, math. But this is only 2% of the power of SynQ, meaning this is only 2% of the actual data that's coming out, what we're capable of right now. And like I said, we're tracking the top 100 assets on Binance, with USDT pairing. Our goal is to have the top 10 trusted exchanges with BNB pairs, BTC pairs, ETH pairs, and maybe an LTC pair. I don't know. But the major ones, definitely Bitcoin, Ethereum pairing, BNB pairing, and USDT pairing at scale for the entire every single asset that's out there. And the beautiful thing about our softwares, we created our manual methods and then turned it into a polynomial linear equation that can be applied to every single asset.
Now, something that popped into my mind, David, what about traditional assets? So I know you've got the crypto thing down, but I wonder, is it at all translatable?
So
for legacy assets,
I'll put it this way. What we have done is looked at something with a new set of eyes. I mean, the three of us here are all wearing glasses because that's what nerds do. We all wear glasses. However, if I put your glasses on, you're going to see things, I'm going to see things a little different than you're going to see things, and the application is different, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So with what we've created, it can be used for many different applications. It can be used for many different industries.
Sure.
However, where we're at right now, this is what it is best suited for. So the transition can happen later on down the road, but right now, know what you know and know what you don't know. And what we know is when it comes to cryptocurrency, the top 100 assets, we're pretty spot on.
Excellent. That's a good answer. So it's about perspective, and obviously many things would have to be tweaked then to get the correct perspective.
Exactly.
Or at least have the right field of view. So
exactly.
Very good. Now, David, we've been hitting SynQ for a good bit, but I know that you visited Consensus
yes.
a few weeks ago, and we've got 10 solid minutes with you. So
sure.
let's do a quick rundown of Consensus. Have you ever been before, or was this your first time attending?
So this was my first time at Consensus in New York. Definitely not my first cryptocurrency event or conference and whatnot, but this is my first time in Consensus in New York. So it was great. I love visiting New York. I mean, especially the city of Manhattan is beautiful. Didn't get a chance to go to Brooklyn, but yeah, it was great. It was great.
Awesome. So you have been to other crypto conventions, and usually they're all kind of their own flavor of crypto conventions. How would you describe Consensus? Is like, how does it stand out from the others, or not? Maybe, who knows?
I mean, what was really interesting is just the people who were there. I mean, last year, and even, we'll just say even the past 2 years, there were a lot of just retail consumers, people who just wanted to learn more there. At all the different conferences, whether it's World CryptoCon or Miami or Texas, Dallas, the one that McAfee spoke at. What was that? And was that in Austin? I missed that.
Dallas.
That was Dallas. That's right. So you had all these different conventions or conferences that had some of the business people there, some of the investors people there, but there are a lot of just people interested, wanting to learn. But with Consensus, and even with this year, there's really three types of people there. There were investors, there were businessmen, businessmen and or women, and then there were builders. I mean, people who are building products, looking to see who can I network with, who can I meet. So it was really high level focused, I would say.
Nice.
I think that would be a good way of putting it. Very high level focused.
So that's exciting, because when you, like most crypto conventions, you just have the builders. You typically have the evangelists. That's all you have, like the builders and the evangelists. So it's really neat that at Consensus you actually had the other part that's integral to making markets work, is the business people, the people that actually have the connections that could actually apply all of this technology. So that's really exciting.
It was very neat to see, and it was smaller, obviously, but it was just very interesting. It was definitely a shift from 12 months ago. I'll put it that way.
And do you think it's kind of like a good indicator of where we're going now? Do you think? I mean, do you think the bottom is in with Bitcoin? That's another way to put it. I'll probably say it a different way.
I will say this: as far as our projections going, from what we have seen, there's a good chance the bottom is in. Okay. There are some outliers, some low percentage chances. However, we actually had a 34-day Bitcoin projection that we mapped out, hand-drawn 4-hour candles, and it was accurate with very, very minimal deviation for 31 days. And when the turn could have went down, it really didn't. It kind of it tried to and bounced right back. So the bottom could be in. It's going to be very interesting, I think, as we've seen with Litecoin right now. The halving's coming up, so Bitcoin's isn't too far away. I think it's going to be a good Q3, Q4 this year for those in cryptocurrencies.
Excellent response. Okay, so we got 5 more minutes here. I don't know if there's anything that you wanted to say. I did have one question about any unexpected events or anything unexpected that you heard at the conference, something out of left field that you're like, what in the world was that? What was that person thinking? You don't have to call them out. You don't have to say specifically anybody, but Was there anything that you heard that you were like, you had no idea how to process it?
I think it's going to. It needs to be prefaced as I'm a business intelligence guy. Enrique and Nick, we're business intelligence guys. Most people don't like us because, quite frankly, their ideas are bullshit. With 99% of the ICOs that happened, that didn't need to happen. The coins, everything, a lot of the things that are being created right now are useless, worthless, and quite frankly, they don't solve any issues.
Right.
They're creating a solution for a problem that doesn't exist for a user base that doesn't want it. So, yeah, I heard a lot of that. New York.
Oh, really? So the ICO market is still, or there are still people that are trying to jump on that train?
I wouldn't say an ICO market, just a ton of there were quite a few terrible ideas. I'll put it that way, that people were thinking, maybe I could IEO this,
what is that?
IEO, the initial exchange offering.
The whole Binance coin thing or whatever.
Well, Binance and now Bittrex, and there are quite a few other exchanges that are doing it and more that are coming, but it's perpetuating the same problem. You have a very shiny white paper with something that you theoretically may or may not be able to do further on down the line, and then you have a really pretty website with a bunch of partnerships that don't mean anything because you're really not doing anything together,
right?
Because you don't have a product, and yet you raise $10 million off a piece of paper in 5 minutes because a bunch of people think they can trade it and make more money.
Yep, that sounds like every other bubble. Sounds like every other bubble. There's a really good book I think people should check out. It's called The Random Walk, and it studies this specific phenomenon where there is no product, there is no service, there's nothing proprietary. It's just people are selling a piece of paper that could be worth more in the future, and humans have been falling for this for ages. So like the fact that it's happening still, not even.
I mean, we got murdered in our, I shouldn't say murdered, but there were a lot of people who hated us because they were saying, tell me look at our ICO, tell me what you think, and we'd tell them, it's shit, you don't need it, you don't need a token. Why don't you self-fund? Why don't you raise your own money? Why don't you sell equity? We'll put it out there that, we are in our company for, not only over $300,000 in cash, but I haven't gotten a paycheck. Enrique hasn't gotten a paycheck. Nick hasn't gotten a paycheck in a very, very, very long time. But
admirable.
It's that business side that when you build it from that perspective and you actually build something for a user base that wants what you have built, it does solve a problem, and it's something tangible in their hands that they can use. That's what cryptocurrency and blockchain space needs. It's not only about the UI and the UX, but it's creating a solution for a user base that actually wants a problem fixed. And once we start looking at that at a larger scale, then this whole mass adoption thing will be expedited. I'll put it that way, I think.
I appreciate that, because I have heard from people that are more intent on building the ICO. So the infrastructure for the ICO, which includes getting communities involved, getting the word out, building the white paper, building very subpar, infrastructure for the actual service. But you guys actually put all of this time and all of this effort and the money, like you said, very little bit of marketing. You put all of it into the actual solution, into the actual software. So we've done commendable for sure.
This is how many dollars we've spent on marketing.
just this episode, and it's free.
Yeah, this episode. Yeah.
Full disclosure, David didn't pay us a cent. I think that needs to be said.
I can't.
Full disclosure.
Yeah, I can't pay you guys.
Never made any money off of anyone that we've ever done forever. Full disclosure.
That's unfortunate. It's an unfortunate truth. But this podcast really is a passion project for Alex and I. And we try to get as many people on like David who are focused on building an actual solution as opposed to just building an ICO. So I hope our track record would speak for itself on that. So David, welcome to the next. You are the next chapter in our passion project here.
I love it. And you know what, man? I mean, when it comes down to passion, don't care what your passion is. If you follow it, you're going to be better than most. You're going to hold it to a higher standard than most, and the quality will show.
That's right. So
I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to be a part of this, and hopefully can come back and I can drill you guys with some questions like how Alex got so handsome.
I'm happy. No, I'm watching so my computer's a big screen. I've got all these windows up. Ever since you sent me the streaming, I've been watching it, and like LTC is at the top, and I'm like, all right, it's got 14 minutes left, but it's getting close to the projected thing. I'm like,
neat, man.
Tiny toy, man. You gave me something to look at. I'm enjoying it. I'm like, oh, it's almost there. He was right. 77% predictability. Yay. No,
and when does that shut down, David? When is that end?
I don't. I know we're going to be doing it daily, and I don't know how long we're going to leave it up each day, but the site itself is, it's a one-way site, meaning information is given to that website. We don't delete it. We don't touch it. It's, we have our link up there for the pre-launch sign up if people are interested. So it might stay up for a while. It might not. Long enough to perhaps get us some funding, and have us maybe get a paycheck and dig ourselves out of debt a little bit. But
sure.
It's definitely, there's a lot of information there, but it is in a way that most people can understand it, digest it, and from a graph perspective, and even these lines here that you'll see when you guys check it out, it's pretty simple, pretty flat out. The last closing price, what our projected price is, our time frame, and the probability of direction. I should add that the probability is.
Yeah, I'm curious about that. What does that mean?
So the probability is not for the projection overall. It's the probability of the direction of the projection, meaning if you see a large movement, such as there was one Ethereum posted at 7:14 p.m. UTC 0 from its last close was $260.63 to its target is $283.82 in 44 hours. That's a 63.01% probability in direction that it will go. Meaning we are expecting, Ethereum to move almost 10%. And that direction is, we're leaning pretty strong that it's going up rather than down. Now, over time, and depending on the subscription level you'll get, these projections will be challenged internally. So when we create a projection, it's always challenged. Our projections are updating every 5 minutes, all of the projections. So every single one. And it continually gets challenged. So as time progresses and it keeps getting challenged, that probability will go up more or will go down more. As we saw, there was a 30-minute projection with 71% probability for LTC to go from $130.25 to $131.12. It's a higher probability because it's a shorter time frame and we had more information. It's been tested and such. So it should be noted that through over 50,000 future tests projections, we have been over 85% accurate to the 100th of a penny. So
it's amazing.
It's amazing.
Strong. Very strong.
Hope so. Oh,
yeah. Well, what time? It is learning. So who knows?
It is.
The most basic supplemental thing of it is, like, for somebody like me who's traded for years, but obviously does not think very highly of his trading ability, it gives me at the very least something to make somewhat of an educated decision, as opposed to just following my gut, which really hasn't gotten me anywhere. So I can appreciate it. I can appreciate it quite a bit because, based on the probability, based on the time frame, and based on the price flux, I might actually take my time to, put some trades into Ethereum and watch, as opposed to, I wouldn't normally do that because I don't have any information saying, hey, this would be a good idea. So that's why I can appreciate it. It actually is a really nice setup for somebody who wants to get into trading more, but doesn't want to make a lot of mistakes.
We have a multitude of different, or a couple different subscription levels when it comes to predictive analytics. The base level, you follow 9 coins. You get them updated. You can set alerts on 9 of them. You can change out which one that you want. So if you're following 9 coins and tomorrow you're like, I don't want to follow EOS anymore, I want to follow Raven. So you can switch that out. It takes 24 hours to resync with your projections, but you can keep trading them out as many times as you want. That base subscription level is $500 to start off with. That will go up over time as we build more of a reputation and people understand going forward, okay, this is their track history, this is their record and such. And then our professional levels are, a couple $1,000s, and our institutional levels, well, I mean, that's bespoke. So that's creating something, specifically tailored to a specific person is difficult. It's hard to price that out. But I mean, for $500, hopefully you get enough data where you can, do something with that and make it much more than $500.
An ROI. Yeah. So David, I mean, we're going to try to cut it off here at 3:05. You've been an excellent guest, but as far as getting people that are interested in SynQ, where should they go to learn more about SynQ and get in touch with you guys?
Yeah, you guys can go to synq.tech. It's synq.tech. Check us out on Facebook and the Twitters, and check us out on our actually chat application. It's cs.synq.tech, and feel free to reach out to us. I'm Syndicate David. You can send us an email through the sites, but if you're curious, we're always around. The team is small, so there's a good chance you'll be talking with me if you send me an email, and we're always around. Again, we're part of the community. We're here every day. This is my job. This isn't part-time for us. This has been our full-time gig for a while.
Excellent. Thank you. Alex, any parting words with our guest and the community at large before we sign off here? I think you're muted.
Uh-oh.
Oh, something's going on in the background. Okay. I'll handle it.
Oh, no. Dog.
Oh.
Yeah. Bark. I didn't want you guys to have to listen. No, I just want to say this was a long time coming. Thanks so much, David, for coming on. I'd really like to do this again with you in about 6 months, maybe 3, when you guys scale to the next level and kind of do an update episode. I think that'd be fun.
Sure.
Other than that, same thing. Go to SynQ Tech, start an account. My name is at the Leximus1, TheLeximus. Come say hi to me as well. And we actually have our San Antonio Crypto Network on there as well. So if you'd like to come talk to us about anything, come there. I prefer it much more than Facebook, Twitter, Steam, Minds, blank. No, it's actually a very, very nice, clear-cut way to communicate with people. So please give it a shout. Give it a try.
Excellent. Yeah, I'll be hopping on there soon. I know I started my account, but
you're already on there.
I'm already on there, but I have to actually use it more. I have to just have it open. I mean, that's the problem. If you don't have the window open, it's kind of like you have no idea it's even.
We're there on iOS and Android too, so you can hop on mobile. Our mobile devs are killing it lately. So
awesome.
Had some bugs earlier, but yeah, man, it's a full team.
Excellent. All right, David. Well, yeah, Alex said it better, but thank you. Definitely thank you for your time. You've been a great guest, great inaugural guest, and we hope to hear from you soon. Have a great rest of your day, David.
You too. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. Signing off. Episode 1. Hasta mañana.